So hi, in this video we'll go for a Spring Boot with REST example. So Spring Boot with REST will have a complete CRUD operation. So as you might know, this CRUD, which is nothing but a create, then update, delete, and then add the object. So here we'll create a beans of employee. Right under that we'll create ID, name, designation, and salary. So gradually we'll add the layers. So right now we are adding the layers as an service layer and controller layer. So in this Spring Boot, we don't need to create any configuration file. So for that point of view, here we'll use in a service layer @ service annotation, where in controller layer we'll use the annotation @ REST controller. Okay, now especially for adding the objects or updating the objects, we require some additional annotations. So those are @ request body. So if you want to accept the entire body, you can use this annotation. Then as a path variable, if you want to pass it, so there is annotation @ path variable. Okay, so let's go for this practical example now. So creating a file, new Spring Starter project. So writing the project name as an employee CRUD operation. Okay, organization name, com dot something like Crescent. So next, and then dependencies, that is Spring Boot DevTools and Spring Web. So these are the two dependencies I'm adding it. Next, finish. Okay, so very first is bin layer. So form.crescent dot bins. So we have only one bin right now, that is employee. So under the employee, private string employee ID, then private string name, private string designation, and then private double salary. So after this, source generate constructor. So one is parameterized constructor and also constructor from superclass, that is with 0 parameter. Then after that, getter and setter methods. And then finally, toString method, right? Okay, so just we have added employee class where we have an employee ID, name, designation, and salary. Constructor with 0 parameters, then parameterized constructor, getter and setters, and toString method. Right? Okay, so completed this layer. Now moving to the next layer, that is service layer. So new class employee service and package name as an service. Okay, so as I told you, we require one stereotype annotations here. So as we are not creating this object manually, so at the rate service, right, under the package org.spring-framework.stereotype. Okay, so in this example, we are not doing any DAO layer or database. So we'll add some objects as an hard-coded. So we'll consider as an list, then generic as an employee. So employee is equal to new array list. So let me import array list from, yeah, so list from java.util.list. Okay, then next is arrays dot as list. Okay, so here org.assert, so which is not required. We want arrays from the package java.util.arrays. So with the help of this arrays.asList, now we want to add n number of objects. So here new employee, first employee 101, name, designation, salary, say 50,000. Then similar to this, other two objects. Employee number 102, and employee as I say Sanjay. Then designation as a senior consultant, 70,000. The next is 103, Vishal. Designation as a manager, salary as in say 90,000. Okay, so just hard coded these three employee objects initially. Then after that, we want the methods for add, update, delete, right? All the CRUD operations. Okay, the first method I want to return all the objects. So public. So all the objects means what? I require the return type as a list, employee. So get all employees. So here I have to return employees. Yeah, so entire collection I have to return it. Then if I want to return a specific employee, so public instead of all, now just single employee, get employee by ID. So string employee ID. Whenever the Spring Boot projects are there, always try to use Java 8 logic. So here I'm not going in a depth in a Java 8, but if you want to view Java 8 in depth, you can view my separate videos on Java 8. Okay, so what is the logic? We can use it employees dot string, right? So here we can use one of the method, that is filter. So filter takes the parameter here as a predicate, which returns true or false. So what we want to see here, employee, then lambda expression e dot get employee ID dot equals. So if both the employee IDs are same, then I may have a number of same employees. So here we have a find any or find first. So we have a method find first or any. So I'm using find first and then get the same object. Right. So with the Java 8, instead of writing so many lines, it's a matter of one line. Okay, so get all employees, then get employee by ID. Then I want to write down next operation, that is add, right? So public, and then this is the service layer. I'm writing just void, so it is not recommended. But we don't want to focus more on layered architecture right now. So public void, then add employee. So what is the parameter we require here as an employee parameter? So just collection method emps dot add employee object. That's it. The next is update. So update employee. So here, what are the parameters we require? One is string employee ID, and second thing is employee object. Okay, so we are using now for loop, integer I equal to 0, I less than collections dot size I plus plus. Now iterating one by one employee object. So very first one, say emps dot get. So index position wise we can get the object. So get is what? I. So what is the return type? It's an employee. So here we'll keep it as an only E. Then if E dot get employee ID equal to, or say dot equals employee ID, then we can update this employee. So how to update the employee? We can call it emps dot. So there is a set method. First of all, you have to set the index position I, and then you have to set the object. Once it is set, no need to iterate the next thing. Employee. So here only we can return it. Fine. So this is all about the update. The next final one method is public void delete employee. For this we require parameter as an employee ID and then emps dot. So now there is one method, remove if, which takes the parameter as an boolean, not boolean, predicate, and which returns boolean. So here lambda expression for employee object. So E dot get employee ID dot equals emp ID. If it is equivalent, okay, please remove it. Okay, so this completes our service layer. Right, so once again revise this layer. So we want to create the object for employee service, so that the reason above the class we have used this @ service annotation. Then hard coded these three employee. Then this method is to get all the employees. Then get employee by ID. Then add employee, update and delete. Now the final layer, that is controller. So we'll keep the class name as package name as com.present.controller, and then here employee controller. Okay, so on a controller layer, @REST controller. So after this, we want to automatically wire this service layer. So @auto wired. What to auto wire? You want to auto wire, that is employee service. So with this, employee service object is created. Okay, so what is the first REST method? @get mapping. So get mapping what? So I want to retrieve all the employees. So I am writing employees. Okay, and then method name public list employee, get all employee, and then I have to call the method employee service dot get all employee. So first method is done. So java.util.list, and here return. Okay, now instead of returning all the employees, I want to return employee by ID. So for that purpose, @get mapping, then employee slash and path variables. So for that purpose, opening curly bracket, then emp ID. You can write down any name, whatever you want here, but ensure that the same method parameter name should be there with the method. So public employee, and then get employee by ID. Okay, so here we require @path variable annotation, then string employee ID. Okay, so we want to return a specific employee. So for that purpose, dynamically we are getting this employee ID through path variable, and then same variable we are passing to the service layer. So here return employee service dot get employee by ID. That's it. So now next method is say add, right? So for add, there is a post mapping. Okay, so we'll keep the URL as an /employee. So we want to accept complete body. So for that purpose, so public void add employee, and then parameter we require as a request body. Employee emp, and after this employee service dot add employee. So we are not returning over here anything. So return type, we are keeping it here as a void. So we'll get the acknowledgement on a Postman editor, that is status code 200 something like okay. Okay, so this is about the post mapping, and the next is update. So at the rate put mapping. Okay, so slash. Okay, we want to update employees slash path variable empid. Then public void update employee. Here we require two parameters. One is request body, right? And second one is at the rate path variable string employee ID. So why we require two parameters? Because we are updating entire object, and on which basis? For this employee ID basis. So that's the reason we require two parameters. Okay, so here employee service dot update employee, and here I have to pass employee ID as well as employee object. Now the last method at the rate delete mapping. So here remove this S employee and then slash emp ID. So public void delete employee and parameter as an employee ID. So employee service dot delete employee, passing the employee. So there is nothing in controller layer, so it's all about the annotations above the class REST controller, and for get all, get mapping employees, get specific employee ID, employee slash employee ID. And this is for adding the employee, this is for updating, this is for deleting. That's it. So our application is ready. So let us test all these things. So here for testing point of view, we are using Postman editor. So running this application now. Okay, so Tomcat started on port number 8080, right? So we are running our application on the port number 8080, and then after that, according to the URL, we have to type it. Okay, so to get all the employees, I have to type localhost 8080/employees. So let us test the same things. 8080/employees. So are we getting all these employees? Yes, 101, 102, and 103. So let us test all the operations. I want to get specific employees, say 102 only. So what is the URL we have? Employee slash employee ID. So employees slash 102. Yes, getting the same things. Okay, so let's add one employee now. So for adding, we have a URL. Okay, slash employee. Right. Then in a body part, say employee ID 104, name Sagar, designation senior manager, salary say 1 lakh. So in which format I'm sending it? In a JSON format. Okay, so let's hit the same things. So I'm getting it here 200, so which indicates a successful operation. So let's test the same thing by calling get. So 8080, then employees send. Yeah, so here getting additional employee 104. So let's try other two operations. Put. Okay, so for the put operation, we have a employee slash employee ID. So employee slash say employee ID 104. So we'll modify this object now. So in a body part, okay, we'll modify salary as in 1,10,000 instead of 1 lakh. So hit the button. 200. Okay. So let's verify by calling get employees. Yes, so getting the updated salary. Now the last operation, delete. Okay, so delete employee slash 104. Hit the button. Okay, so now 200. Okay. So once again validate this by calling get method employee one or employees. Getting all the employees. So how many employees I'm getting? Only 3. So this is all about the CRUD operation. Right. So in the next session, we'll add one more layer now, DAO layer. So for this session, thank you.